Hi, my name is David Clements and this is my podcast on the UK Doping Agency. Focus. My main focus in this podcast will be looking at changes within the UK Doping Agency, why change is needed, what methods can be used, and the changes that could be made. Examples of tests on professional athletes, such as Bradley Wiggins and Lizzie Armstead. This will be discussed as they were both under UKAD testing. Also, I will be reviewing the Lewin model of change. Background. First, the story on how anti-doping started. The practice of doping in sport is possibly as old as organised sport itself. Even in ancient Greece, athletes used special diets and stimulants to build strength. However, it was not until the 1920s that it became clear that restrictions were needed on drug use in sport. The first international sport federation to ban the use of stimulating substances was the International Association of Athletics Federations in 1928, paving the way for many other sports to follow in their footsteps. However, no testing was carried out at this time. In 1966, the cycling and football federations introduced drug tests during their world championships. Shortly after, followed Olympic testing at the Grenoble Winter Games and the Olympics in Mexico in 1968. Who are UKAD? UKAD protects the right to participate in clean sport. They were formed as an independent body in November 2009, having previously been a part of UK sport. UKAD is the national organisation dedicated to protecting a culture of clean sport. Every day they are raising awareness of the issues through their extensive education and smart testing program. They help athletes to understand and follow the rules, and prosecute offenders. Under the system operated by the World Anti-Doping Agency, athletes have to provide a daily 1-hour slot when a doping control officer can test them. In an emergency, the athlete can change the slot up to a minute before it begins. An athlete who misses their test in 12 months can be banned up for 2 years. However, is this a change that should be made? Leadership and change. Leaders who influence change are categorized into two ways: transformational leaders and transactional leaders. Transformational leaders emphasize on building a vision for organization and organizational identity around collective values and beliefs, beneficial impact on people's motivation and job performance. Transactional leaders focus more on hard levers of change, emphasize more on changes of structure, financial incentives, etc. Who can be tested? Any UK and non-UK athletes staying, training, residing, entering a competition at any level within the UK is eligible for testing. Possible outcomes. Following sample collection, the doping control officer will send the samples to a World Anti-Doping Agency. There are 3 possible outcomes following sample analysis: negative, an apolitical finding, or an adverse analytical finding. Examples of cheating the test. This example is a major reason of why change is needed in UKAD. In May, Wiggins committed a whereabouts failure owing, he claims, to confusion surrounding a flight back from the Tour of California. Doping control officers put a strike next to his name because they ruled he had provided insufficient information about where he would be. Wiggins blamed the time difference and the fact it was an overnight flight. The failures leave Wiggins a central figure in UK anti-doping investigation into allegations of wrongdoing in cycling, open to accusations of hypocrisy, giving his scathing criticism of fellow British rider Lizzie Armstead. She is a British World Championship and was clean to ride in the 2016 Olympics after missing 3 dope tests. Both of these athletes are under the UKAD and have been able to still compete after several misses for tests. This is something which other athletes and fans are concerned about. Should they be able to compete? Should the new rules be put into place? Should UKAD make a change? Now I should talk about the types of strategic change and leadership change that possibly UKAD could look into as an organisation following these failed drug tests and missing tests. Lewin's model of change. Change is a common thread that runs through all businesses, regardless of size, industry, and age. Our world is changing fast, and such organisations must change quickly too. Organisations that handle change well thrive, whilst those that do not may struggle to survive. One of the cornerstone models for understanding organisational change was developed by Kurt Lewin back in the 1940s and still holds true today. His model is known as unfreeze, change, and refreeze. And this refers to the three-stage process of change he describes. This first stage of change involves preparing the organisation to accept that change is necessary, which involves breakdown the existing status quo before you can build up a new way of operating. Key to this is developing a compelling message showing why the existing way of doing things cannot continue. To prepare the organisation successfully, you need to start at its core. You need to challenge the beliefs, values, attitudes, and behaviours that currently define it. After the uncertainty created in the unfreeze stage, the change stage is where people begin to resolve their uncertainty and look for new ways to do things. People start to believe and act in ways that support the new direction. When the changes are taking shape and people have embraced the new ways of working, the organisation is ready to refreeze. How UKAD could use this theory. Number 1. Determine what needs to change. In UKAD's case, it would be the amount of missed tests before a ban is put in place. This reduces the risk of a test being cheated. Number 2. Communicate often. UKAD should make all athletes aware of this change up to 6 months before being put into place to give them time to prepare themselves for the new system. This is a fair way of giving them time and giving communication, which is huge in change. Number 3. Anchor the changes into the culture. They can identify what supports the change. Furthermore, develop ways to sustain the change, ensure leadership support, establish feedback systems, and adapt the organisational structure as necessary. Possible types of strategic change. Adaptation. Change is gradual, building on amending what the organisation has been doing in the past. In line with current business model and organisational culture, this is very relevant to UKAD as the organisation already has a strong body, and what they have been doing in the past has worked for the most part. They don't need to make changes rapidly like the reconstruction method. UKAD aren't in need for a major cost-cutting program that would mean a huge structural change. They just need to keep doing what they have been doing in the past with the small incremental changes, like the evolutional model says. Change in strategy that results in transformation but incrementally. This is the most challenging type of strategic change as it involves building upon what you already have built as an organisation, but exploiting it in new ways. By using the Lewin model, this is something that they could achieve, with keeping their background on doping and the rules, whom they test, etc., but just slowly developing new ones as they go along. Also, evolution. Change in strategy that results in transformation but incrementally. Most challenging type of strategic change is that involves building on exploiting existing strategic capabilities whilst developing new ones. Lever for strategic change. Challenging operational processes and routines. This lever that I have chosen out before is relevant to the consistent analysis that I've provided for UKAD. Is changing operational process and routines. Day-to-day processes and procedures can present serious challenges to change, and the way we do things might prevent some people from seeing the value in change. But if done slowly and gradually, they can see a massive benefit. I have chosen this lever for UKAD as the way they do things as an organisation is so systematically processed. This might be hard for the people to see. However, if they slowly and gradually make changes, the people and the organisation as a whole will see a huge benefit. Recommendations. I recommend UKAD to not get away from the structure they have and who they are and what they represent as an organisation. However, to make changes to better them and exploit their greatnesses. Also, if they do make these changes, to not be rash and make rapid changes, but to gradually make small, smart changes so it benefits the people supporting them as it does to them as an organisation as a whole. Thank you for watching.